Good morning, everybody. My name is Nina, and I'm streaming today from Liveschool in Sydney. We're going to talk about the new demo track in Ableton Live 11 that I got to create late last year and early this year. And it just came out a couple days ago, so we're going to go through that in a little bit. But yeah, first of all, my name's Nina. I produce as Ninajirachi, and I write music and produce it and DJ. I used to DJ a lot more than now, but yeah, I kind of do a bit of all of that, and I've been a trainer at Liveschool since 2018. That's where we're streaming from at the moment in Sydney. So in Sydney there's a physical training centre, Ableton certified, where I've been a trainer for a couple of years, but there's also online training and an online community in LA and Berlin as well. So yeah, I've done a bit of stuff with Ableton before as well. We shot a video for their One Thing series in 2019 that was actually at my family home, and that was really cool, just kind of showcasing a couple of Ableton features, but that's on YouTube if you've seen it or want to check it out. But yeah, we're gonna dive into this session right now, so we'll switch over to the other screen here. So this is what it looks like, and basically every time a new version, should I bring the mic closer, or is this good?
That's fine.
Okay, cool. Basically every time there's a new version of Live that comes out, we have a demo track inside it that kind of comes with the software to, I guess, demonstrate all of the new features and how they work and those kind of things. So I was really fortunate to be given the opportunity to make the demo track for this version of Live, and this is what I came up with in here. So started working on this in December last year, and finished it up late January, I believe, and sent it off, and yeah, it was great working with the team at Ableton, and yeah, feeling pretty great that they liked it enough to include it in here. So it was pretty different from making a song that I would make for myself, I guess, because there were like a few kind of guidelines that I had working on it that I wouldn't have when I'm working on my own music. Like, for example, I had to use all stock Ableton stuff, which is actually, like, it wasn't that much of a restriction for me, because I find that I use like a lot of out of the box stuff anyway. I don't use a whole lot of third-party plugins or anything like that, so that wasn't too hard. I guess just using all core library samples as well was another limitation, but it also kind of made it nice and easy working in those kind of confines, because it means I just had limited places to draw from, and I just had to kind of work with what I was given, which is just kind of like a fun challenge and a fun bit of stimuli in a way. But before I get too much into what's actually like in here, I'm just going to play it all the way through so you can check it out.
Silly things just to make you look at me. Couldn't win the game, but I might try again. If I learn my lesson, babe, it's a possibility. And I don't know if I'll see you again, or is this the end? I don't know. Standing in the rain, feather down in my brain. I was doing silly things just to make you mad. In between red and blue, yeah. Tell the truth, there's nothing to lose left. Already gone and it's late, so it's best that I'll be home. You told me to let go. In between red and blue, yeah. Tell the truth, there's nothing to lose left. Already gone and it's late, so it's best that I'll be home. I'll leave you to it now.
Cool. So that was the finished product, and that's what comes with the new version of Ableton Live, which is pretty cool. And I feel really lucky for that. But yeah, it was different to making just like a song that I would put out myself or anything like that. I guess there were a few kind of things that I had to parameters that I had to work within. Yeah, like I said, one of those was that I had to use all kind of stock Ableton devices and core library samples, which I really enjoyed because I kind of like having like a little in the box challenge like that. I guess the first thing that I did was I had to sort of send the team an idea before anything else. Like it wasn't like I kind of already had this sitting there ready to go. I guess I had to sort of like pitch an idea in a way, and then once they said that they liked it, we got to work back and forth and send a few versions and stuff like that to make sure it just sort of fit with what we both wanted. So the first thing I did when I was making this was I just thought, well, I guess I can only use core library stuff, so it was like a really nice opportunity to actually really dig through the core library and see what actually comes with Live, because I've never really thoroughly dug through every sample that comes in here. So I really went through every single sound and just sort of pulled out everything and put it all in like a big drum rack, and just sort of thought this is all stuff that I could use. So I just sort of had all my material at the top here, and then one of the other things that they really wanted me to include was a vocal recording, or a few vocal recordings, because one of the new features is comping, or like creating composite vocals, which is, I'll go through it more in depth later, but you can see here there's like a few different vocals that have combined to make this one up here. So because they wanted vocals, I thought, okay, I need to write something for this. So because I just wanted to show them something really quickly, I went through my voice memos on my phone and just sort of found something in there that I had written like a couple of weeks earlier, that was just like a spare idea, and I just sort of put it in. I kind of already had these chords sitting there from another project again that was like unused, and I found that they went together, so I put them together. And then from there I had this thing and I was like, cool, now I can start seeing what core library sounds go with this. So then I just built out some drums up here. Another thing that I had to kind of work within was like a time limit. And the time limit was, I think, like it had to be 2 to 2.5 minutes. It really helped that I already kind of had a rough tempo because of this vocal idea that I had kind of sat up around this tempo. So then I just went, great, I'll set it to, I think initially it was 175 and it gradually got slower down to 165. And I actually just, in the first version of the project, I set some markers like start and then minimum end and maximum end, so that I knew I had to finish it within this certain range. So yeah, it was actually really fun having these kind of limitations, because it made me have to think about what I was doing a little bit instead of just throwing stuff on the canvas like I usually do. There was a couple more things that kind of came up throughout that, going back and forth with the Ableton team, we kind of fixed up and changed and stuff, but I'll go through those as I go through the tracks. The other thing that I had to include was the other new features that come in Live 11. One of them that I just mentioned was the vocal comping, which is here. Then there's a couple others like the MPE instruments and the velocity different options that came with that, as well as the spectral devices too, which were really fun, and I've loved using those over the last couple of months. It's been really cool. So yeah, we'll start going through all the tracks. Oh, the other thing that I should mention, even though I guess it is a given, I was lucky to have access to like a version of this software from December so that I could work on this project. So I've gotten to know a few of the new devices really well from working on this and just from using this over the last couple months, and they're so much fun. I'm really into it, and it's very exciting that everyone else gets to play with them now as well. But yeah, we'll go through, I guess, track by track. I think I started, yeah, like I said, I started with these, may have started with these drums up here. They've all been condensed down into one kind of drum rack now. If I play this, yeah, so usually I would not have kicks and snares and hi-hats all in the same track. I'd very much have them all separated out so that I can mix them separate and stuff like that. But again, another thing is we didn't want to have too many tracks going on in here, like audio and MIDI tracks, so we ended up condensing them down after all of the creative stuff was done, just so it was a nice kind of one concise drum rack here. And yeah, you can see there's a few kicks. They've all been kind of renamed, snare 1, 2, 3, etc., but they were all samples that were found in the core library here too. So it starts with just hi-hats eventually. So the snare, there's a couple different ones kind of all laid up here. I don't know if I put too many effects on any of these. It's also been like about a month since I last touched this project at all, and over a month since I like really combed through it in depth, so apologies if I'm having to dig through here, but hopefully this is showing some cool stuff to you guys as well. Over here the arrangement changes, so I wanted to kind of, I guess because it was like a weird like 2-minute long thing, I couldn't really have like a typical like pop structure like I would usually with a vocal based track, so I guess I just had like a kind of halftime part at the start and then softer part here, and then let it go a bit crazy towards the end. So the notation speeds up a lot down here with the drums. And then slows back down again. Sounds like there is some automation there that I must have done. Let's have a look. Yeah, on an auto filter. How good. Cool. But yeah, that was the drums basically. There was some other embellishments. Obviously, you can see that there's some percussion and stuff. But that was like the basic drums that I started off with. And I also usually like have my drums at the top of a session as well. I think that's nice and uniform across everything that I work on. There's a percussion track here. This one's frozen. I'm just gonna unfreeze that. I froze them all just before this stream so I could go through them one by one. Cool. So this one's a cool one to talk about because it has one of the new features, which is like a chance function. So it's just kind of like you can choose how high you want the chance of a MIDI note even working to be. So I've also got this one, if you've seen my Ableton One Thing video, this is like kind of a similar technique to what I talk about, like just using slice mode and simpler. So this hi-hat loop was in the core library as well, but rather than just kind of like using it straight up as a hi-hat loop, I just sort of put it into slice mode and used MIDI to trigger a different pattern, because I didn't want it to just sort of be the same pattern all the way through. So you can hear as I play this, you're not hearing every single hi-hat, even though you can see that there's no gaps in the MIDI here. That's because the probability here is 71%, so there's actually only a 71% chance that any of these are going to be heard. I just thought that kind of made it a little more organic and interesting. So yeah, that was that one. There's a bit of mixing that went on here, bit of EQ. Here's the spectral time device. I can't remember exactly. Yeah, so you can just hear it's sort of like widening it out a little bit. I don't think this was a particular preset. I think I just sort of chucked it on and experimented a little bit, but I really like this device and I've been using it so much since I've been having access to it in like this project and many others. It's really cool. The knob one at the end, the fade to grey, this is not a new feature, but I just really like it. I just use it whenever I need like a nice little like easy transition. So nice. Works for everything. So good. That kind of stays the same throughout. Below that, we've got some percussion hits. This was another kind of thing that kind of came while I was pulling all of those samples out of the core library. So these were all just different sounds I thought were cool. In this halftime part here, I just sort of sprinkled them throughout to sort of like embellish this whole section a little bit. I'll solo those and play a little bit. There wasn't a whole lot of thought that went into this arrangement here. I really just sort of like put stuff one after another and then moved it around so that it fit the drums nicely. But it just sort of filled that section out. There's a few effects on this track because they are sort of all different sounds and they had different volumes and stuff like that. I wanted them all to sound like they came in the same track. So the spectral resonator, this is another new device. Again, I love this. I think it sounds great. There's a delay on there. So I was just sort of giving it some stereo. They're all kind of compressed so that they sit under the nice same roof, and EQ'd all together, bit of reverb, and then just like a multi-band to tie it all together at the end. But they were fun. They just came in at the end as just sort of like a new kind of fun thing. So when it goes halftime again, it didn't sound totally the same. This clap loop, this was fun. Again, this was like a core library sample that I just pulled out and I thought, oh, this is cool. I just like how wide and clean it is. Not much going on there at all, like in terms of processing. It's very raw. Oh, there's a little sample in there. That sounds like something different. Yeah, so there must have been different effects. I just sort of put them all on the same track to save space. But I just thought that sounded really nice and filled it out pretty good. Below that, more hi-hats. Let me fold these up. More hi-hats. These ones kind of go nice with this Perk Chance track. These two kind of complement each other. They're kind of panned equal amounts left and right. If I solo those two together, they just sound sort of nice and wide, which is cool. Yeah, again, this was just a loop that was in the core library. The new Redux is on this one. Just made it a little bit crunchier. I really like on the new Redux this jitter function. Makes it sound really cool, I think. On here, another spectral resonator. So good. And some sidechain compression on there. Cool. Below that, I had the breaks. So I actually had the idea to have this kind of like chopped breaks section because when I was going through the core library, I found these nice breaks and I thought they were very cool. So yeah, it was just a matter of I had all these sounds in these tracks up the top here and I was just sort of like pulling from there and building something down below, and then I cleaned up the session later. But yeah, I thought these all sounded pretty cool. I couldn't decide which break I wanted to use, so I just used a bunch. And just like process them all together so they sounded kind of unified. That was fun. And then the vocals. So yeah, like I said, I had this kind of vocal idea just sort of in my voice memos from like a few weeks earlier that like I hadn't used them for any. I've always just got like so much spare material in my voice memos, as every songwriter generally does. And this was just like, yeah, a spare idea that I hadn't used for anything else, so I just chucked it in. Sounded like it worked well. Everyone was pretty happy with it on the Ableton team and stuff, so I rolled with it. The first version of this, the vocals were a lot higher, like a few keys higher, and they were also like super auto-tuned because I'm not a very good singer. Like I wouldn't even like say I'm a singer. I just produce my vocals for the sake of like not getting someone else to do it, like not getting someone else to sing on my tracks. But yeah, so when I first sent a version over, I just recorded them really roughly with my mic at home, and just auto-tuned them really hard because without it they sounded so bad. And then when I sent that to the Ableton team, they were like, hey, can't use autotune because it's not in Ableton. And I was like, yeah, of course, like totally, but it was just to demo to them. But these ones here, not tuned. I actually I hired a studio to go and record these, and we ended up making them a lot lower. I guess just to keep I think when they were too high, the feedback I got was that they just sounded a bit too like chirpy and stuff, and we wanted to keep the tone of the project nice and neutral so that it could, I guess, inspire like all the different kinds of people that use Ableton and might come across this demo project. So we ended up making it super low. It was really hard to sing because it was so low. There are a few points where I actually had to like do so many times, especially also because I had to get the pitch right as well, because yeah, I'm not a very good singer. So I just had to hire a studio and spend like a whole day just doing so many takes. I didn't keep all the takes. I only kept a couple because otherwise this would be ridiculous. And I only kept one take for all of these extra vocals, but soloed all together, vocals kind of sound like this.
Standing in the rain, water on my window pane. I was doing silly things just to make you look at me. Couldn't win the game, but I might try again. If I learn my lesson, babe, it's a possibility. And I don't know if I'll see you again, or is this the end? I don't know. Standing in the rain,
so that part was like pretty comfortable to sing. Actually, this part like was so
in between red and blue, yeah.
It was just so low, and I don't think I was feeling that well that day, but we got it done. Yeah, but there's a few takes there. I guess the really cool thing, yeah, about this update, for me as like someone who produces a lot of vocals, was having this comping in here now, which is really cool. So basically I could just record, like leave it looping and just record over and over and over and over and over, and then choose between which I wanted here. I'm going to unfreeze these so we can have a better look at them. And I just sort of chose like the 3 best takes and then comped between those, otherwise there'd be like a million in here. But yeah, below that there's a harmony track, so the lead
in the rain, water on my window pane.
Versus harmony.
In the rain, water on my window pane.
And then together they just sort of fill it out a whole bunch. Only kept one take for the harmony there. And then below that there's like a delay channel.
Look at me.
And that's just like a super wet delay channel that just sort of blew it all out at the end there to fill out these gaps in between. There's a bit of like group processing on all of them. They're all like a bit saturated and stuff like that, and sidechained and stuff, just to make them all sound like they're living together. And then below that, this extra line track, this was just like another kind of like little fill line over here. That also all got, I think, condensed down to one track there as well. That was originally like 5 stacks in there. You can hear there's a bunch of effects on there that got kind of baked into the one track. That was like a lot of recordings altogether. Cool. Below that, so there were some hums. Again, these all got condensed down to one track. I think just because there was just too much going on in here, I went a bit overboard with how many stacks there were, but they all got condensed down to one track here. Bunch of processing on there, just like reverb and stuff to make it all very airy and stuff like that. That was the vocals. So initially I recorded them at home, again just to show the Ableton team the idea, and then once they said they liked it, I just kind of went to a studio and recorded them properly, which was cool. Some white noise, nothing crazy about this. I think there's just operator white noise there with some volume automation and sidechain compression and stuff like that. That's just to kind of, I guess, give it some impact around this section here. Okay, this track is cool. So this was, I'm just going to play this dry real quick. This was This was just a really cool loop that was in the core library that I really liked. Again, I just had it in my bank of stuff at the top, and then I put a bunch of the new effects on there. And we got a lot of like fun, really nice granular computer sounds. The hybrid reverb, this is another new device in Live. So that one sounds really nice. There's a grain delay on there. Spectral resonator, this is the one that's kind of doing a lot of the work here. Sounds so pretty to me. EQ, reverb, yeah, big fan of that sound, to be honest. Below that, a bunch of impacts. These are all, again, core library impacts all together. They just sort of make a big crash kind of thing. And I just sort of have them scattered throughout wherever there's a new section. This one's kind of fun and interesting, number 3. There's a few different samples going on here, I think. So on that one, if I unfreeze that, yeah, that was a few different things going on. Another new spectral device here. So that's fun. But yeah, on all the other ones, I'm pretty sure there's nothing crazy. I think it's just like, yeah, reverb and compression just to give it a big whoosh going down there. Cool, and now here's the melodic instruments. There's a sub bass, there's a few different basses, 3 basses. So there's a sub bass. This was just an operator sine wave, I'm pretty sure, with some compression. That was all that was. I solo that. It's pretty low and hard to hear, but it was just providing the oomph, I guess. Bass short, this was one of my patches that I made with a few things. So it was an operator patch, and then there's a bunch of effects on here that are all Ableton things, all kind of making it do its thing. If I take all of these off, you can see what it sounds like with and without all of the effects. So it's very dry and very quiet. It's just a nice little like FM synth thing. If I switch all of these on, there's so much more to it, which is cool. This one here is actually, the hybrid reverb is pulling a lot of the weight. So big fan of that one there. Another new device. I think that's pretty cool. The Reese bass patch is another one of mine, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is another thing that I made. And it wasn't anything crazy. I don't know if there's any new devices on here. I think it was all kind of stuff that was already in Live before. Oh no, the hybrid reverb, cool. It's just giving it a bit of space. So I had kind of that long Reese bass at the start, like an intro, because as it was kind of building up, and then the shorter bass later where it needed to be kind of punchier. Over here in kind of like the higher bands in terms of the instruments here, I used some of the new presets from Live 11, which was fun. This plastic toy one I really like. Again, because I figured like if I have to use all Live 11 stuff, I may as well just like really use this chance to explore everything that's in here and find all of the new gold. So this plastic toy sound was really cool. Super quiet. So this one's like arpeggiated, and there's some delays and things on there as well. I also really like how you can have more macros now. That's pretty fun. That's pretty good. Synth keys. This was another one. Actually, maybe I made this. I think I made this one. Yeah, this wasn't a... I don't think this one already existed. Plastic Toy was definitely a new preset. I think synth keys is just something that I threw together. But those two together, again, they're panned kind of left and right. And stuff like that. They're just sort of in the intros and outros, again, like kind of the big whirry sections. There's some brass here. This is just sort of another arpeggio. That went with everything. I play those together. Yeah, I really liked it. I'm really glad that I got to use these chords for something, because I sort of had them there. You know how you just make stuff and you're like, oh, I can't think of how this could be a song, but it's nice. So these were just some chords I had sitting around from something like that, and they went well with this voice memo thing I had, and it was just the perfect timing for me to use them, so I'm glad they got to go out into the world in some capacity. Outland Bells. This is a new Live 11 preset.
In between red.
So they sound pretty cool. This synth string thing, this was kind of like the melodic part. And there's a bit of automation that goes on here, as you can hear, on a whole lot of things. I guess to change from this sound to this sound, and then to this sound. Yeah, there's a bit of automation on there so that it changed over to suit, you know, because it was a bit lighter and fluffier in the breakdown section, and then a bit harder over here, which was cool. That was actually someone on the Ableton team's suggestion, was to, I guess, make it reverb out over on this section here, and I think it sounded really good. That was a really good suggestion from them. This melody was actually originally a lot more complex as well, and I think that's like kind of a habit of mine, is that I forget that, I guess, things that I make are like new to other people, so I'll just kind of gradually make them more complex over time, because I've heard them so many times, so I'm like, oh, this is boring, but really no one else has heard it, so it's all kind of new for them. So this melody was originally like way more complex with so much going on, and the Ableton team gave me the feedback that it needed to be a lot more simple, I guess because I thought that it was not complex enough, so I just kept adding more stuff in, but then I stripped it back, and that was really good feedback from them. So another preset here. Oh cool, so here's another new feature, this Star Shower pad. You can see the MIDI in here is just one chord, but this is actually using the new MPE expression. Oh, now I've got to remember how to turn this on. Oh, maybe because it's folded. There we go. Cool. So you can see that this is one chord. It starts as one chord, the D sharp major. But then the notes actually move with this new MPE expression feature here, which is pretty cool. And if you have like a MPE friendly hardware device, you can like play stuff like that in too, which is really cool. But yeah, I got to explore that there in this little breakdown section. It was really fun. There's some strings here. I think I may have done a similar thing in here. Yeah, I did. Cool. So I guess rather than having like new string notes came in, I just stretched the ones that were already there. Again, that's kind of fun, and something else I had to include in this demo. So, synth sample. This was again just like kind of like an airy thing that I had at the top to fill out this little breakdown section. Oh, and this one's audio. Okay, so yeah, this must have been something again I pulled out of Core Library. Hybrid reverb on there, delay, there's another fade to grey there, but it's actually fading in, so it's getting more present. Cool. cool, but that was all the tracks. And from there, I think on the master, I just put this punchy dance master on here, this preset. Again, just to show off all the features that I could. I also love this new feature here, this macro variations feature. So you can just sort of, I actually don't know which one it's on at the moment, but I'm going to save this one as variation 1. You can just sort of flick between these different variations of like the one kind of audio effect track, which is really cool. So I don't know if you can hear a difference in any of these things, but I guess the differences would be really subtle, but yeah, I really thought that was a great feature. But yeah, that was kind of all the tracks, I guess. The other thing I was gonna show you was kind of like the first version of it that I sent over to the Ableton team before I even knew that this was gonna be the Live 11 demo track. So this is what I initially sent to them when they asked me for an idea. I can't remember how this sounds as well, so I'm a little scared to play it, but I'll just play a little bit. You can see it's like about the same length. Actually, this halftime section was twice as long originally. That's why you can see that happening there. And then I cut that down because it was too long. You'll hear it's a lot higher in pitch, and the vocals are like super rough and auto-tuney. A couple of this, it's faster as well. I think it was like 175 or 170 BPM. And there's a few samples and stuff that were different. So I'll play a little bit of this.
Standing in the rain, water on my window pane. Always doing silly things just to make you look at me. Couldn't win the game, but I might try again. If I learn my lesson, babe, it's a possibility. And I don't know if I see you.
Keep playing from there.
And I don't know if I see you again. We could be friends, but I know. Standing in the rain, feel it down in my brain. Always doing silly things just to make you look mine. In between red and blue, yeah. All the truth, there's nothing to lose.
So this part was like way easier to sing up high there, but you can hear it kind of sounds the same, just higher up. There's some piano in here that I must have gotten rid of. Yeah, so basically the same. Oh, I had the verse again over this halftime section. That's why it was half as long. Yeah, that's right. And then going back and forth with the team, we realized it just didn't need to be there. It was too much, too busy. And then just decided to have this melody go over there again, but reverbed out. Yeah, and that was it. We just sort of, I think there was maybe like 3 or 4 more demo versions after that. So it would kind of, I would work on it, send it over, we would talk and decide what changes needed to be made. I would go back and work on it again, send a new version. Yeah, and that repeated, 4 or 5 times. And then eventually, towards the end there, we sorted out just all the like technical, like non-creative stuff that needed to be fixed up, like for example up here, like condensing all of my drum tracks down to this one drum rack, and deleting the spare vocal lanes and all that kind of stuff. But that was kind of the whole thing. It was really fun, and I actually really liked working on something where I was kind of confined to these I can only use this stuff, because it made me really resourceful. And it was really fun, and such an honor as well. So yeah, but I'm down to like see what you guys want to know about this as well. Like if you have any questions, we've got time to answer those. So just type in the chat if you wanna. I've got like a little monitor here. I can see what you guys are saying. Well, I haven't been watching it because I've been looking at this, but if you guys want to ask about some stuff, please do, and I'll start having a look over here. Is this live or recorded? This is live right now. Just reading this chat. Oh, cool. So many friends are here. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming in. Cool. Oh, hey, Arawa is here. Arawa is a legend on the Ableton team who actually brought about this opportunity for me, so thanks for tuning in, and thanks for helping me do this. With so many samples available, how do you go hunting? So I literally went through the whole core library. I went through like every single sample that was in there, and anything that I thought that was like slightly interesting or like I could use maybe at all. I had like a few tracks up here and I just like chucked them in. Like I think for one shots I had like a big master drum rack that I would chuck everything in, and then stuff like these clapping loops and stuff like that I just put into audio tracks. Then when it came to, that was kind of like my bank of sounds at the top, and then when it came to actually needing drums, I would go back through and be like, oh, that works here. So I just sort of cut the whole core library down just to a bunch of stuff up here, and I literally went through every single one. Yeah, but if you mean like in general, how do I go sample hunting, I like don't anymore because I have so many. But like maybe once every 6 months I'll like go on a little Google spree. Where did the inspiration for the song come from? I don't know. If you mean for like the songwriting, like I don't really know. It was just sort of like I just get these little like ideas, and then just when I'm like walking by myself, or if I'm like in the shower, or if I'm like lying in bed, I can't sleep, and I'll just be like, oh, that's a melody. And a lot of times like the words in here don't really mean anything or make sense. I just had the melody, and the words just sort of like facilitated the melody, if that makes sense, and then just brought it out a little bit later. Oh, it's so nice that you guys are all liking the project. That's really nice. How did you find working on the project CPU performance wise? Interesting you say that, because today, just before when we were setting up this stream, we had some CPU issues, but in general, like really fine, especially because it was kind of all core Ableton devices, and also my computer generally runs music pretty well, so it wasn't too much of an issue, especially because there's not that many tracks in here as well. Like there's only 30 or so, and when I was working on it originally there were like a whole lot more, and we cut it down a lot, but yeah, it was pretty fine on the computer. I guess that was also kind of a thing, it had to be nice and easy for like most computers to run, because it is the demo track, like we want everyone to be able to open it, kind of thing. What mic do you use to record, and do you have a designated place at home that's quiet enough to record? I don't record vocals that I'm gonna release at home, unless like by accident I get a really good take and I just simply can't recreate it in the studio. I'll then find a way to use that and mix that and finesse that, but that's like, I just try to avoid that if it's possible, because in my room it's not the worst, it's pretty quiet, but it's just a bit like, it's not the same as in a studio. But at home I use a Rode NT1, just if I need to record demos and stuff like that, or if I just have ideas and need to get them down. But for actual vocals, like I'll like hire a studio like for a day and go in there, and they usually have like an SM7B or something even better, whatever's kind of there, for stuff that I'm intending to release, and I'll go there to do like all of the like stacks and harmonies and stuff in one day. Same goes for like if I'm recording another artist as well. We'll do demos at my home studio and then hire like a fancy studio for stuff that's actually going to come out. Do you usually make a library of sounds like that when starting a new tune? No, not really. That's actually, I mean, like, it depends. If I'm working on something like for a particular purpose, like I am with this song, and I've had another couple of projects where like I've had to say, for instance, make something with just these kind of sounds, then I usually have a process like that. But if I'm just kind of making music purely for leisure, this is still very much leisure, but like if it's, no constraints, I'll usually just sort of like search in my browser and pull from there. How long do you spend prepping before you start a track? I don't know. I feel like the prepping is part of making the track very much. So I don't know. And I guess it depends. Sometimes I don't need to prep and I can go straight in. Other time I might spend like a good like day's worth of hours getting stuff, all the admin sorted so that I can make the creative part really fun. But I still feel like that first part, like the setup that I described for this, I felt like that was very much part of making the track, because all of the sounds that I was pulling out of the core library into my little bank at the top were sort of informing what the track was going to sound like. So yeah, if that kind of makes sense. Can you show us with a bit more detail how you auto-tune the vocals, please? I can't right now, sorry, only because the tune device that I use is a third-party thing, and I use that in my music that I make for my project and other people's work and stuff like that, just to fix up my vocal performance, because it's not very good without it. But for this project I had to not use that, because it's not, it had to be, we're demonstrating Ableton devices here, and that's not an Ableton device, so I don't have it on in this session to show you, unfortunately. Yeah, but maybe on another stream at a later date I can go through stuff like that. Maybe a dumb question. Does Live 11 have a dynamic EQ like track spacer? I'm not sure. I don't think that's a dumb question, because it's really new. It only came out a few days ago, so any questions about what it contains are not dumb, I don't think. But I couldn't tell you if it has a dynamic EQ. Let's have a look. So in the audio effects, it's cool now that you can see all of the EQs in here. So it doesn't look like there is a new EQ that comes with Live 11, but these four, were all in Live 10. Something I found out this morning from Adam at Liveschool is that you can actually ungroup these folders, which is, I mean, for me it's good because I'm so not used to these folders, so I keep like wigging out every time I click on audio effects and I'm like, wait, where is stuff? But maybe you like the folders, but I found that out today, and that's pretty good. Why use the compressor as a limiter with infinite ratio throughout the tracks, e.g. on the bass tracks instead of the stock limiter? I don't know. I guess I just like, let me find one where I've done that. I guess I just really like having the one kind of point of control. Like, I always just find that I will just knock the ratio out and just ignore it and like just use the ceiling. I've got to find one where I've done that. But I know what you're talking about because I've done it like everywhere. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I just kind of like having like that one point of control, but I'm not just going to use the limiter because on the limiter I don't really have the same controls in terms of like the side chaining and the output gain and stuff like that. You also get these nice visuals as well, especially here for when you're side chaining. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. Cool. Well, yeah, if there's any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in today. Hope you enjoyed and learned, and hope you get a chance to check out this project in the new version of Live. Feel free to like completely destroy and remix it if you'd like to. But yeah, if there's any other questions that come up, still got a bit of time, so just hit me up. Otherwise, maybe I'll just play through it one more time. Actually, I might just freeze everything again in case we have those CPU issues. Shouldn't take too long. Oh, no worries, guys. Really nice to read all your super nice comments on here. Really nice that you're all enjoying it. But yeah, while I'm freezing this stuff, any more questions, hit me up. Oh, Mixdown. I didn't talk about that. That's so true. Oh, thanks guys. You're all super nice. Glad you enjoyed it. Do you find the Mixdown affects the sounds you're after much? Yes and no. Like, I think sometimes, like most of the time, no, because most of the time I'll just like look for a sound and be like, oh, that's cool, and then I'll find out how it can work with the mix later. Unless I'm specifically like, you know, I'm building a snare and I've maybe got 2 snare layers in there already, and I think, okay, this snare needs a bit more body. Then I'll go looking for a particular sound that has those particular frequencies in it, I guess, if you think of that as mixing. Or, you know, if I need something to have a bit more like of a transient, like a bit more top or something like that, I'll go looking for a sound that's like that. Obviously, you know, if I'm like looking through samples and there's one that's just like really muddy, I might think like, oh, what a shame, this is a cool sound, but I'm not going to use it because it's just like going to sound terrible in my mix. But most of the time I can find a way to just like mix them and make it work. Like, there's so many effects in here, and beyond what's just inside Ableton as well, that you can use to get even like a really bad sounding sound sounding good in the mix. But yeah, hope that answers that question. But yeah, maybe to write out, or while I wait for any more questions, I'm just gonna let this play. Is that cool? Yeah, sweet. I'll chuck this master back on. Sweet.
Silly things just to make you look at me. Couldn't win the game, but I might try again. If I learn my lesson, babe, it's a possibility. And I don't know if I'll see you again, or is this the end? I don't know. Standing in the rain, feather down in my brain. I was doing silly things just to make you mad. In between red and blue, yeah. Tell the truth, there's nothing to lose left. Already gone and it's late, so it's best that I be home. You taught me to let go. In between red and blue, yeah. Tell the truth, there's nothing to lose left. Already gone and it's late, so it's best that I be home. I'll leave you to it now.
Is that back on? Sick. Alright, cool. That's the track one more time. I've just seen one more question about how, do you have any tips about how we can give more tension to the tracks or make them more interesting? I think just like make sure the novelty kind of stays happening throughout is what I would say. Like, don't have any section go on for too long without anything changing. And I guess like dynamics, like everything is relative in terms of mixing and songwriting and arranging. Like everything is relative. So something is only big and exciting if what came before it is less big and exciting, kind of thing. So just make sure you have kind of down moments to make your big moments sound big, if that makes sense. Any tips on producing layering vocals? I mean, what do you want to know? That's like a whole world of stuff in there. I guess I would just say like super simple stuff, like, you know, high pass anything below like 120 hertz. I like vocals to be like pretty like hard compressed. I think that sounds pretty good. Yeah. It's hard to elaborate without knowing like what you're stuck with, but maybe on another stream I hope I can help you, because vocals is like a whole thing, but definitely just EQ and compression can do like a whole thing to vocals, I would say. Jared, someone's saying
ban that guy.
Cool. Alright, well, thanks for tuning in, guys. Oh, wait, sorry. They keep coming in. Is it okay to record vocals at home if you're planning to release? Yeah, 100%. 100%. I have this song called A Light, and it's one of, like, my best stream tracks, and I recorded the demo with, like, a USB mic on, like, my bedroom floor in my shitty little, like, share house, my old share house in Surrey Hills, and I was so attached to it. I just couldn't, like, get off these demo vocals, so I ended up just using most of them in the final and just got like a really good mix done to them. So definitely doable, just not ideal, for sure. But yeah, time to wrap. So thanks for tuning in. You guys are the best, and you've been very nice to me with all the compliments, which is really cool. I really appreciate it, and I hope this was helpful. So, and also thanks to Ableton again and Liveschool for hosting this. Best teams ever. Love working with all of you. It's like such a privilege, and I get to learn so much as well. So yeah, you guys are the best. Thanks for coming, and see you at another stream. Woo. Is my mic still on?